Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today is the start of Series 6, which means the competitive format's going to look pretty different now with a lot of Pokemon being banned out, and I'm really excited to just dive right into it. To kick things off, I'm actually using a team that Wolfe was able to climb to number 1 on the ladder with just a couple of hours ago. If you don't know who Wolfe is, you definitely should check him out. He's linked in the description below, but he actually made a video about this team just a couple of days ago, and yeah, had a phenomenal run to get to number 1 on ladder on stream. And it's just a really fun team. It features Pokemon like Life Orb Jolteon, Neutralizing Gas G-Weezing, and Assault Vest Ferrothorn. This team is also really interesting because a lot of these Pokemon become a lot stronger in Series 6. Jolteon now no longer has to worry about Dragapult, which initially was pretty much the fastest Pokemon in the format. So that actually makes Jolteon basically one off, if not the fastest Pokemon in the format that you'll see. You also have Weezing, which previously was pretty weak due to Pokemon like Excadrill and even Max Steel Spike Cinderace being in the format. But with neither of those being in anymore, it becomes a lot stronger. Ferrothorn was already trending towards the end of Series 5, even with all the Fire-type Pokemon now, with Torkoal, Incineroar, and Cinderace no longer in the format, definitely has a better time in the metagame. Dracovish was a really cool pick in the early meta. Togekiss no longer exists, and that was definitely one of the biggest, I think, counters to Dracovish, especially like Crit Kiss, just with Max Starfall. So with Togekiss no longer being around, I think Dracovish also thrives a little bit more. And then you've got support with Politoed and Arcanine as the last two. So I've played a couple games with this team. It is really, really fun, and I think I always thought Weezing was, one of the Pokemon that I think had a lot of potential, but we didn't really see it on the right teams for the most part, or players just didn't really try it out very often, and I think this team utilizes Weezing really, really nicely. And yeah, if we had a World Championships this year, Weezing was like one of the Pokemon that I would have kept my eye on in terms of maybe being on a really surprise team that could catch players off guard. So cool to see Wolfe really make it work, and I'm just excited to dive into Series 6. I think makes the next couple of months of content really fun, and I hope you all enjoy it as well. Thank you as always for watching Road to Rank, and let's jump into today's episode. Question of the day, by the way, I'm curious if any of you have played Series 6 already. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so this is actually not too crazy to see. Double Redirection, Primarina, and Dracozolt, which I think are definitely two of the high priority attackers going into this format. And then Arcanine and Conkeldurr. Okay, so what do I want to max here? Maxing Weezing is actually a really interesting option because I could Starfall into Dracozolt and Ooze into Primarina. Weezing looks really good here in general. The only thing that kind of has to watch out for is Dracozolt, but otherwise I actually really like it. Dracozolt, however, does not look fun. That being said, we do have Safety Goggles Arcanine, so I can ignore Amoonguss and just Will-O-Wisp into Zolt, which would shut it down immediately. So I actually kind of like Arcanine Weezing as a lead. And in the back, this one's tricky. Like, Dracovish's Wrens do a fair amount, but then with Double Redirection, I don't know how great I feel about that. Ferrothorn's got to worry about Conkeldurr a fair amount. Politoed Dracovish combo quite nicely. We could even theoretically max Dracovish here. I am pretty Primarina weak, though, if I don't bring Jolteon, so I think I'm actually going to go with Jolteon and Dracovish as the back two. We'll see how this goes. This is a weird matchup, I guess, because of the dual redirection support, so we'll see how things go. But like I mentioned, question of the day, I want to know what you all think about Series 6 if you played it already. Like I mentioned, I played a couple of games before starting recording today. It feels very different from the other formats, but that's partially because it's early meta, so people are just trying out, crazy things right now. This is actually exactly the lead I wanted to see, though. Because if I burn the Dracozolt as it maxes turn 1, I think we kind of just win the game off that, to be honest. So, what I want to do turn 1 is just Will-O-Wisp into the Zolt, and Taunt into Amoonguss. Yeah. I think Dracozolt normally doesn't expect goggles here unless you know about the team, which, it has been making its rounds around the internet already, but Will-O-Wisp and Taunt is really safe here. Because of the safety goggles, I ignore Rage Powder, so as long as I don't miss Will-O-Wisp, which is never a good thing to say, then we should be good, but we all know my odds with Will-O-Wisp, so let's see. Ideally, Dracozolt maxes turn 1. It actually switches out, though. Nice play. Maybe into Arcanine? Into Clefairy, okay. I mean, I don't mind this, because, like, what is my opponent going to do turn 1, right? That's a great switch on their end, though. So, yeah, expecting goggles there most likely, but they don't get anything off this turn, and now you have both your redirectors in the field. They don't really do anything. Unless it's Mentorb. Okay, it's not Mentorb. So with the Amoonguss being taunted, I could obviously Flare Blitz into that slot pretty easily. I think there's a decent chance Clefairy goes for Follow Me here. So I want to taunt Clefairy I think, and Will-O-Wisp into Amoonguss. Yeah. We could actually max Weezing in this game, honestly. But shutting down the Hustle is also really, really important. So, I mean, you know, now my opponent's in an awkward spot where they're definitely not doing any damage this turn. Amoonguss pretty much has to switch out. But Will-O-Wisp taunt covers every option, right? If you go back out in a Dracozolt, Clefairy could protect. It was actually Conkeldurr. I think we maxed the Weezing then, honestly, given what my opponent brought. And I'm curious if it's Guts on the Conkeldurr, because now my Will-O-Wisp actually gets redirected. Maybe Flare Blitz would have been better, but this play covered every option, and we're kind of ahead right now, so I didn't mind playing it a little bit safer to start. I actually think we max Weezing. Hey, okay, it was Guts Conkeldurr, but with Weezing being out, I don't care about the Guts. It's actually really useless. So I actually think we can just pretty safely Flare Blitz Sludge Bomb into Clefairy, because it's taunted. That covers everything. Actually, we want a Strange Steam, I think. Clefairy's definitely switching out here, given that it's taunted. So Flare Blitz Strange Steam should pick up a knockout onto either switch in. Actually, maybe Amoonguss survives, but yep, there's the Clef switch out. It's going to be Zolt. Okay, that's fine, because Conkeldurr, when burnt, is going to be really bad against us. It's actually a double switch. Okay. I mean, now my opponent's in the exact same position they led with, but what are they going to do, right? I don't actually know if Flare Blitz and Steam pick up the knockout here, but it should do a ton of damage, so yeah, I don't think it actually picks up the knockout, but that's fine. Like, they're literally in the same spot we started this game with. We haven't taken any damage, and we already chipped away at Clefairy, and oh my god, Weezing is so good. That was a one-hit KO. I underestimated Weezing, and I apologize. Like, Weezing legit 1v4s this team. Being able to shut down these abilities are so critical, right? Like, Dracozolt no longer being able to use Hustle. Granted, the Goggles was really important for us here, too. We kind of needed it because it meant I could lead Arcanine Weezing super, super safely. But, I mean, we've literally not taken any damage thus far yet. I want to taunt into Amoonguss again. There's a decent chance Amoonguss protects here, but I don't want it to get a Spore off, right? Like, that's the worst case scenario. So I think just Flare Blitzing for Chip into Conkeldurr and taunting into Amoonguss is fine. If Amoonguss protects, then the next turn I can double up into it. But it just goes for Rage Powder, which is even better. That's probably the best case scenario, to be honest. Like, my opponent cannot win this game unless they knock out the Weezing. And because I have Goggles, yeah, I don't even care about the Rage Powder, which is even nicer. And we're even faster than the Conkeldurr, so we honestly might be able to win this game without even Dynamaxing. It's just Drain Punch, but yeah, like, Guts is not activated right now, so only does 47 damage. Poor Conkeldurr. So bringing Flame or Guts Conkeldurr into a matchup with Weezing is a little shaky, but to be honest, like, I think, like, this game highlights already how good Weezing is. Like, I literally just destroy my opponent's entire team, right? So now I can just Flare Blitz and Sludge Bomb into Amoonguss. And the combination of Goggles on Arcanine plus Weezing shuts down these redirection users pretty nicely, especially because we have Taunt. I think Taunt is such a critical move to have here. So, yeah. I mean, my opponent, once Dracozolt goes down, you can only Dynamax the Conkeldurr, and they're opting not to, but I don't know. I feel like they might have to. Flare Blitz actually just one-shots there, which I'm surprised. Okay, that was a crit, yeah. I would think Amoonguss would survive that normally with like 25-30%-ish. Because this Arcanine isn't exactly super hyper-offensive, but now we just get a free Sludge Bomb off too. I went for the Sludge Bomb there to cover for the Clefairy switch-in, right? Because Amoonguss is taunted, we get a guaranteed knockout either onto Clefairy or Amoonguss. Given how far ahead we are in this game, like, I think we're just going to Dynamax Weezing. So I can bring out Dracovish here, max Weezing, and just ooze. Like, Weezing is legit 4v1. Let's go with Jolteon. We could max Jolteon as well, I guess. If I max Jolteon, what do I do? Yeah, with Friend Guard actually not being up right now, I think maxing Jolteon... I mean, like, my opponent just couldn't do anything in this game. This was just full shutdown. Like, I can just max Lightning into Conkeldurr, which sets up Terrain as well, and Sludge Bomb into Clefairy. I guess what you could do here is max Conkeldurr, max Guard, and if you have Sing on Clefairy, Sing into the Jolteon, but then I get the Sludge Bomb off anyway, and like there's no way you can beat the Weezing after Dracozolt goes down. So this game was one off the lead, honestly, and the fact that my opponent didn't have Primarina in the back. Now, one thing that's interesting about Primarina is that if you don't have an actual Water-type attack, you know, most players run like Hyper Voice Moonblast, for example, then... you know, I'm able to cancel Liquid Voice, and then Primarina is going for Max Strike with Max most of the time. So, Primarina doesn't have a great time in that matchup unless it actually is running a water type attack. And Hydro Cannon Primarina is like decently common. I actually think, you know, we've been running it in the WBE a lot. I think it's actually a really solid option. You can run Hyper Voice, Hydro Cannon, Moonblast Protect, for example. All right, this next team is a composition that I think you should expect to see a lot of in this early format because you basically, it's enabling Cobalion and Colossal. Now, once again, Weezing is so good here because it shuts down the way you enable your 2 sweepers. So we're definitely leading Weezing here. Definitely want to lead Weezing. Dracovish is actually really good here as well. Like, we can actually just go Weezing Dracovish. I know, actually, when Wolfie was playing, he led Jolteon Dracovish a fair amount with Weezing in the back. Now I think about it more, I think that makes a lot of sense. And then we can go Pharaoh as the last one, because if you don't bring Colossal, and bringing Colossal into a matchup with Poly, Dracovish, and Weezing's pretty scary, Pharaoh has a pretty good endgame here. So I think I'm just going to go with these 4. But Sneasel's really interesting. Players are running it because, you know, it's one of the fastest fake out options. You also have inner focus, so you can't get flinched. And then it not only enables Cobalion, but also Colossal with beat up into Cobalion, surf into Colossal. So I don't think this kind of composition will be like super, super strong in terms of like just being very consistent in the meta later on. But in the opening weeks, I think you should expect to see these teams very, very frequently. Because, yeah, it's one of those teams where if your opponent isn't prepared, or even if they're prepared, like, you have to play against 2 modes. You have to play the guessing game, okay, do I go with the Colossal lead? Or, sorry, are they going to go with Colossal or Cobalion? However, because we have Weezing, we basically effectively shut down both of those, which is really, really nice here. So let's see. What's it going to be? Alright, Cobalion Sneasel. That's fine by me. The only problem here is my opponent reads into the Weezing switch in and Steel Spikes turn 1. That could be really scary. But the play I'm leaning towards here is Max Lightning into Cobalion. And switch the Dracovish out into Weezing. Yeah. And even if they Steel Spike, they at least won't get the beat up off, which means that Jolteon isn't immensely threatened. So this is a relatively safe play. If they don't go for Steel Spike, I think they are in a lot of trouble. And to make the prediction of Steel Spike into Dracovish, I think is a really hard read to make. So, let's see. Either way, though, our boy Weezing is out, shutting down all abilities once again. Oh, is that Gastro switching in? Oh, well played, dude. That was so well played. Wow, that was so nicely done. Props, honestly. I actually think that's exactly how you need to approach this matchup if you're my opponent. Very nicely done. We've got Ferrothorn in the back, though, so honestly, I'm not that concerned, but that's a fantastic play turn 1 on their end, so props to them. Yeah, they knew exactly what to go for here. So we could have maybe Phantasm to play it safe. Yeah, they don't fake out with the Sneasel either. This can be Surf. Though that actually does damage to the Gastrodon because of no Storm Drain. Really nicely done on my opponent's end, though. I think that was a great play. So I'm going to Phantasm here into the Sneasel and Strange Theme. The reason we want to Phantasm is to get the defense drop so that Ferrothorn can just Power Whip Gastrodon later on. There's a decent chance Gastrodon actually Dynamaxes here. If my opponent doesn't have Colossal in the back, then they're going to have a lot of trouble against Ferrothorn, but they actually switch Sneasel out into Dusclops. Okay. Well, this Phantasm looks great, right? We get a free Phantasm into that slot. I think Gastro might max here, but it doesn't, so it's just going to go for Earth Power. That's a lot of good damage there with Phantasm. Okay. So I'll take it, but Lake and Cobalion actually looks really scary right now. And I think my opponent did exactly what they needed to do, which was bait out my attack and then conserve the Cobalion for the late game. So props to them. Really, really nicely done. Oh, almost for knockout. It's just Earth Power. Okay. I actually took that better than I expected. Not bad. So I can Lightning now to set up the terrain. Phantasm does get another defense drop on Gastro, though. Got Dracovish in the back. Conserving Weezing is really important. I do like setting up terrain here, so I think I'm just going to go Max Lightning into Steam. Unless there's Ally Switch. There could be an Ally Switch coming out here, actually. So for that reason, I'm going to Phantasm instead. Phantasm into Dusclops. And Steam into Gastrodon. No Ally Switch, okay. I don't mind playing safe around the Ally Switch here, though, to be honest. And now what's interesting is that you can only bring one of Cobalion or Sneasel in, so you know, my opponent did stall out my Dynamax really, really effectively, so nicely done on that. And we should survive an Earth Power, though, given that first one did less than 50%. Confusion would be really nice here with Strange Theme. Gastrodon's just kind of an awkward spot where it's not really doing very much right now. We actually get the Confusion, so nice. Let's see if it attacks through. If it doesn't, it's going to be really tough for my opponent. And they actually hit themselves, so it's a very lucky turn for us there. But I think that was our best play regardless. No reason not to Phantasm. Basically to cover for the ally switch. So Cobalion comes out now. Now, what I do have to respect is, like, Steel Spike going into the Weezing slot. Late game Cobalion, I think, is actually still a really big problem, to be honest. Especially because I think it should be Assault Vested. So, like, what I want to do is switch Weezing out into Ferrothorn right now. Question is whether I read the Gastrodon switching out into the Sneasel and Volt switch into that slot. Yeah, this is still a pretty scary endgame because my opponent stalled out my max really, really nicely. And I don't have, like, Intimidate in the back right now. I'm leaning towards Volt Switch into Cobalion. The beat up is just so scary, though. And switch out into Pharaoh here. See if Gastro stays in. I want Gastro to stay in here. Could I have stayed in with Weezing? No, I don't think so, because you're going to Steel Spike that slot for sure, right? Okay, Gastro stays in. That's what we want to see, because this means Cobalion's a lot worse when it doesn't get beat up off. It's a lot worse. However, like, this is why I wanted to set up Terrain so that I could get a Volt Switch off against it. Nicely, like, I think this is exactly how you want to beat this team, though, if you're running, like, Jolteon. If, like, you're trying to shut down Jolteon, just don't let it get 3 max moves off. It's actually pretty good damage from Volt Switch, more than I expected, to be honest, so I'll take that. It's probably Steel Spike into Pharaoh, right? So I could go out into Fish here. Yeah, because I think you're Earth Powering with the Gastrodon. Okay. Yep, Steel Spike. Defense boosts aren't good to go up against, though, right? Like, these are going to hurt. Or at least hurt in terms of me not being able to do very much damage into Dracovish. I could pretty safely Fish's Rend the Gastro slot next turn when switching, while switching Pharaoh out into Weezing. Okay, snaps out of Confusion is just going to Earth Power. I honestly think we survive a Knuckle here. So, like, what I want to do is Fish's Rend into Gastrodon and switch out into Weezing. Could target the... might have been better to target Cobalion, actually, because I don't know if I actually want to knock out Gastrodon here. Yeah, I think I should have targeted Cobalion, now that I think about it. I don't know. Just the defense boost makes that so we don't do very much damage. I'm hoping, like, just for a Knuckle here from the Cobalion. Okay. No Protect. Okay, still a 1-hit KO, even with the defense boost. Good job, Dracovish. Ah, they read it. They read it. Good read. Weezing survives that? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. This Pokemon is insane. What? I did not see that coming. But now the problem is if you have Airstream on Cobalion. You should have Airstream, to be honest. I actually might have wanted Weezing to go down there, because if Weezing went down, I get a free switch into Jolteon, I can double up on Sneasel. Nice read there, though. Really well done. My opponents played this game really well, so if we lose, honestly, no shame. Like, I think they made a lot of great plays. So I have to respect... You can't beat up here. You're definitely not going to beat up. Fake Out... I don't even think Fake Out Knuckle KOs, to be honest. Do we need Weezing? I don't think so. I'm leaning towards just going for Fish's Rend into Sneasel here. And going for a Strange Steam into that slot. I don't need to protect Weezing, nor do I want to switch it out in case my opponent, like, makes a crazy read and goes for beat up, but they're just going to go for Fake Out, which is fine, I think. They do have Airstream, though. That's bad. Oh, that actually was the reason to conserve Weezing. So that they can't beat up, because now with the Airstream off, you can just beat up Cobalion this next turn. Because of the Airstream boost. Yeah, my opponent played this perfectly, actually. Oh, really nicely done. Yeah. They timed that perfectly. What I needed to do was actually switch Weezing out into Jolteon so that I could switch Weezing back in for the neutralizing gas the subsequent turn. Yeah. You should just be faster now with both Pokemon. I don't even know if you... No, you should beat up here. I guess we could go for a Thunder Para. Yeah, I'm gonna Vicious Ren, Cobalion, and Thunder here. If we get a Para, then we outspeed it. And can Volt Switch for a KO next turn. Even if I switched Weezing out there into Jolteon, I don't know how good I feel about yeah, the turn 1. So what's really dynamic about this matchup is turn 1, right? Like, if I read incorrectly and my opponent... the Steel Spike into the Weezing prediction was fantastic, though. Like, if we just stayed in with Pharaoh and go for a body press, like, they take so much. Yeah, so they're going to go for beat up here. The correct play is to target Jolteon, so we could have protected Jolteon, actually. Yeah. But fantastically maneuvered on my opponent's end. Like, that's exactly how you really need to play around this, in my opinion. They're going to go for Iron... Does that KO? Wait. That doesn't KO. And Thunder connects! Does this plus Vicious Ren KO? I think so. I think so. Why did they Iron Head and not close combat? I mean, they didn't want the special defense drop. That's actually the reason why. But we're going to win this. I didn't think we'd win. I also forgot about beat up only hitting +2 instead of +4. But okay. We take those. Yeah, there should be a win now. Obviously, we were reliant on Thunder hitting there, which was kind of scary because low accuracy. I mean, 70%. Not amazing, not terrible, but you pretty much never want to rely on a 70% accurate attack to win a match in VGC. But I think we needed to Thunder there. Volt Switch just does significantly less damage. But yeah, we actually end up eking it out with the win. So that's crazy. I mean, I feel like my opponent honestly played a lot better than I did in this match, but the strength of this team carried us. That is actually also one of my problems. Not problems with Cobalion, but I do think that you can see why Cobalion is like slightly weaker. Cobalion is basically... It's like a free win if you get the beat up off and you get 3 turns of max off. But if you don't and you max Cobalion, it does significantly less damage. I just can't believe Weezing hung on from the Steel Spike. That was crazy. But that's also a testament to Cobalion not being exactly like super powerful. I'm curious on the team here. Citrus, Standard, beat up, Taunt, Fake Out, Surf, Rindo, Gastro, which isn't surprising to see. And yeah, I had 2 fighting type attacks with Sacred Sword and Close Combat. Yeah, I don't know why you don't go for Sacred Sword there. I don't think you need to Iron Head. Beat up Sacred Sword should win the game from my opponent if we did... Like, Thunder didn't end up paralyzing, so... I feel like that was more of a... I mean, my opponent was playing fantastically up until that point. Maybe they just thought the Iron Head would pick up the knockout. But, yeah, I mean, that was really scary. But now we're up against a really interesting Sun-Rain hybrid. Arcanine's a must-bring here. I mean, Arcanine Weezing, like how we led that first game, seems quite solid here. Question is, like, Pharaoh could actually still be really good just for the 2 Water-type Pokemon. Because Power Whip's a 4x super effective against both of those. Wow, this is such a weird matchup. I really like Weezing and Arcanine as a lead. I guess, no, I was going to say Jolteon destroys everything. There is Lightning Rod to watch out for, but this is where Weezing comes in handy. Do I really go Jolteon Ferrothorn? I feel like Weezing, Arcanine, Jolteon can handle the Fire-type Pokemon pretty well. If we beat the 2 Fire-types, then we win with Pharaoh. Like, Pharaoh just hard wins, so, yeah. Sorry about the DC there. It's kind of anticlimactic. Normally, I when those happen, I edit it out, but given that I'm already recording this kind of late, I don't want today's video to go up too super late, so yeah, I normally try to edit those out just to make the viewing experience a little bit more pleasurable. Raichu Zard, okay. It's not... Is this good? Is this bad? Is it okay? I mean, turn 1, I kind of just want to double protect. I think it's likely my opponent Fake Outs Arcanine and G-Max Wildfire's Weezing, which would be pretty bad, I guess, now that I look at it. Jolteon would have wrecked this, but The thing is that my opponent has so many good switch-ins. I think I'm just going to double protect turn 1. Yeah. Because then I can, like, at least Charizard shouldn't do that much damage to... This... Wait, does Raichu get Sunny Day? I don't think so, right? Speedmax Zard. I mean, this is kind of the problem with bringing Ferrothorn into this matchup. It's super hit or miss. But I felt like if I don't bring it, the Gastro and the water Pokemon give me a lot of trouble. I'm guessing my opponent has Gastro in the back, because I could have totally led Weezing Raichu and just Max Lightning turn 1. And kind of win the game off that. Should be Wildfire, but maybe an Airstream? Oh, it's Electro. Okay, that's interesting. Are you Wildfiring? No, it's actually Airstream. Okay. I don't think I mind that too much. The problem right now? The problem right now is I don't have a switch in. If I had Dracovish, I'd go Weezing into Dracovish probably, but... Or even Politoed, I guess. What about maxing Weezing? That seems kind of nutty. If we max Weezing, though, we could Ooze, Flare Blitz, Raichu. It would allow us to survive. But then what? Especially after Charizard got that speed boost. The goal, my win con is to knock out the fire-type Pokemon for Ferrothorn, right? I think so. I'm actually going to max here. This seems kind of crazy, but I think it actually makes some sense. And double up into Raichu. I just think I fall behind too much if I don't max here. Because if I switch out, something gets knocked out. I haven't burnt enough turns of Dynamax. I don't know if this was the correct decision, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm just frustrated because I really could have led Jolteon into this, but the Gastron scared me maybe a little too much. It's actually Volt Switch, okay. What's coming in? Ninetales? I mean, Ninetales coming in... Oh, I wonder if it survives the double up. I don't know. Ah, yeah, there was Gastron in the back, so, you know, that made sense. Yep, there's the Wildfire. I think we're in KO range from another one, which sucks, but I guess we could protect this next turn. Maybe I should have just sacked the Weezing and played towards this Jolteon endgame. I mean, what I was, like, here's the problem, right? Like, I need Jolteon plus, Weezing plus Jolteon to beat the Charizard, but then Gastrodon is just a free switch in that position. Looking, based off what my opponent brought, I think Dracovish is actually the correct approach in this game. Yeah. Like, if I led Dracovish, maybe? Maybe we survive another Wildfire. If we do, that'd be clutch. You know, Snarl and Starfall here. I mean, if my opponent... I think Ninetales is going to be the last one, which is why this is particularly frustrating. Because we could have gone Dracovish, Politoed, Weezing. And actually Airstream. I think we survived that. We don't? Wow. Is that a crit? No, never mind. Wow, that was just strong. Based on the Wildfire damage, I thought we'd definitely take that, to be honest. So I am kind of surprised that we got KO'd there. But yeah, I think this is looking like a loss. Okay, no more neutralizing gas. I think if I were to replay this, I would lead Jolteon Dracovish as a lead. Because then what I could do is pivot either Pokemon out into Weezing to cancel out the abilities. Stockpile Castron too, jeez. Okay. Well, this game isn't necessarily over yet, so I don't want to give up quite yet. Especially because if my opponent doesn't have Ninetales as the last one, this is actually super winnable. Yeah. So now what's interesting is, do you pivot out into Raichu? I would think you'd want to. So I can go for, like, Shadow Ball Flare Blitz onto something here. What would you switch out, though? Probably Charizard. Why would you keep a Charizard in here, right? It could totally just protect, too. Yeah. Good play. My win con at this point is to like knock out Charizard and try to win the game with Ferrothorn, so I don't regret going for that. Maybe they stay in this next turn. You should just Earth Power the Jolteon here, though. Yeah. Wow, it's still 1-hit KO through Snarl. That was crit. Ugh. To be honest, I don't think that crit really mattered, though. Once you protect there, I think the game's pretty much over. Well played, well played. I think I needed Dracovish in this game, based off how everything played out. Yeah, Dracovish would have been the approach. Okay, well, no shame in losing that. I guess they could miss an attack with Charizard right now. We could crit. And if they don't have Ninetales in the back, theoretically, Ferrothorn could pull it out. But, nice protect. Yeah, there's Heat Wave. I wonder if this KO's at -1 with AV. Yeah, Ferrothorn survives that. I just didn't feel great about Dracovish, but the more I look at it, the more it's like, my opponent can't even set up the Sun. If I have Weezing out, so yeah, even Weezing Dracovish could have been an interesting lead. Okay, Gastro recovers, but yeah, there's not really much we can do here. Knock off. Yeah, I thought my decision to max the Weezing might have been silly. Like, maybe I just needed to get the free switching into Jolteon. Another approach would have been actually to sacrifice Ferrothorn so that I have Jolteon and the Weezing out next to each other. But nah, I don't really think that does very much. Yeah, I'm not going to delay this anymore if they've won this. Especially with Wildfire. Well played, well played. Yeah, that matchup was just tricky because, like, I kind of need the Ferro to beat the Gastro plus the... I guess I don't necessarily need Ferrothorn to beat Gastro plus the Dreadnought. I could go with Dracovish there. And then the question is, are they really going to bring both Gastrodon and Dreadnought? I was thinking yes. So I really wanted to find out what their last Pokemon was, whether it was Ninetales or the Dreadnought. But I like how my opponent played that. I think my lead was too passive. It would have covered a lot of other options, but not the Raichu Charizard lead specifically. So needed to have something a little bit better to beat that combo. But those were some really fun games, honestly, and you can see how different the teams are in Series 5. So or Series 6, I should say. So I'm really excited to play more games with this team. So thanks to Wolfie for building it. Once again, check him out, linked in the description below. It's a rental team. Feel free to try it out yourselves. And thanks as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. All right, peace.